For those of you who don't know me, I'm Andy Kirtland. I'm the Director of Professional Services at Documoto. And I actually have the pleasure of introducing our next speaker, Grant Terzer. He's the Senior Director of Product Management at Capstone Energy. And I actually met Grant back in 2019. And in that time, I was actually a customer success manager. I was responsible for onboarding and helping Capstone to implement Documoto. And from kickoff, I could tell it was going to be a different type of implementation. The reason being, the Capstone team was very detail-oriented and also really intellectually curious. They wanted to know everything about the platform, every button, every feature, every workflow, every use case. But what I really appreciated about that was that all came from a desire to really think creatively and push the boundaries of like what Documoto could become for your business. And that's really what today's session is about. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Grant.
Thank you, Andy. So today I'm going to do a presentation. It's really on three things. Then I'm going to do a demo. It's sort of what's the initial problem we had, and then how we resolved that with Documoto, and then how we made additional changes and implementations to the platform. We really utilized microsites, and I'm going to go to all the ways we do it and how we implement it. I'd like to get just a understanding. How many of you use microsites today? Raise your hand. So it's a very small percentage. So I'll go into that further, do a demo, then I'll show you our structure, how we've set things out. We try to be very structured, and that's why we asked a lot of questions. We needed to understand everything. It was key when we first set up, how do you set up organizations? Because we didn't want to develop it one way and then figure out we did it the wrong way, and it's not easy to unwind once we set it up. So we really wanted to understand how it was done. So who are we? So essentially, Capstone Green Energy, we manufacture low-emission microturbines. So we're essentially a gas turbine with power electronics, and we sell into the industry of combined heat and power, combined cooling, heat and power, and that's really for commercial industrial applications. We do renewables, a lot of landfills, a lot of breweries, funny enough, because of the digester gas that the breweries take off, we burn that in the gas turbine, so it's a renewable fuel. Then we're a lot into oil and gas, onshore, offshore, unmanned platforms, sort of anywhere within the US and overseas. We do a lot of oil and gas because we're prime power. We're a continuous gas turbine. We can burn flare gas. We can burn a lot of things. So traditionally, oil and gas will have recips on site where we offset that, where we can burn the fuel on site. So it's a big market for us. And with the last few years, we're now migrating into data centers because it's another big market for us. So the Documoto development team, we're all here today, myself, Renee, and Paul. So within the team, we've developed everything. So that's our entire team. I think what's unique about our team, because I head up product management and we support all of our departments and distribution, we do all the content, we create all the models, we explode all the models. So all the information we've taken in was generally what we developed. So we can control that. We're not reliant on the engineering team, so we can move a lot faster. And when there's a correction, we can do all the ECOs ourselves and change those without having to rely on other teams. So that does allow us to move faster and make a lot of changes quicker. So the area that my team manages is product management, so all technical publications, so everything from sales to aftermarket, we manage those all. Technical product training for your technicians, and then sales training, product training. Aftermarket parts management. So we never used to manage parts. Once we implemented Documoto, it sort of came to us because we sort of have the true source. What do we need to really update? Now we have Documoto and we have our SAP where everything's created. We sort of take everything out there manually, but our parts pricing generally changes once per year, same as our systems and accessories. So we don't have to have that real integration today. Order management, so all the orders coming in, the process, the flows. Application engineering, how our product is installed on site. So all those installation guides, application guides, all that's done through our group. And then our control platforms, how do you commission those? How do you integrate that into buildings? And then we just support all of distribution and end users in our internal departments. So because our product is technical, configurable, and supported globally, access to critical information is required. When we first started our journey with Documoto, it was initially just to integrate our documentation and parts. So I want to talk about the need for change, why we were battling. So our original platform, we use SharePoint. So it's very much like a Windows folder structure. That's what, when I joined Capstone, that's what we had. You know, we had multiple products. All the documentation was embedded. It was hard to find certain documentation. The search feature would only give you the document number or how you titled that. User permissions were difficult because how to set how a user comes in, how an end user, how a distributor, how internal Capstone. So it was hard to manage. And because we had hundreds of work instructions in different places, what do we update? How does that relate? You know, we didn't have that ability. It just was there and you left it unless someone really brought it up and complained about it. And then once it's a long update cycles because we didn't know what we needed to update. And there was a larger queue for that. On the parts management side, and I'm sure all of you experienced this prior to moving, and I wasn't involved in that, but there'd be a part in the field, customer service would get an email with a picture, there'd have to be a part expert that would identify that. He couldn't identify that, that went to the engineering expert, they would pull up the drawings in SAP, and they'd all be huddled around trying to figure out what that part was. So that's what we suffered on. Parts management relied on experts. If you see on the picture, that's what our old parts book looked like. It gave us, we tried to do categories, you tried to do names, you did parts, but you were control F in there the whole time. You had to be an expert. Filter, 100 filters came up, correct? So it's also how we named it or how the engineer named it when he created that part. There wasn't a structure. You know, we developed that structure late in Documoto, and I'll tell you how we structured things so we were consistent. Scheduled maintenance books, it just said replace engine filter, replace electronics filter, replace your EMI filter, but it didn't give a part number. So now you had to try and say, okay, go and take my scheduled maintenance book, come relate it back and hope to God that these guys named the part the same. So it was very difficult. So that's what we battled with. Wrong way. So, you know, after the integration, we resolved all those issues. Parts, you know, we became the parts expert, but it allowed people to not send emails anymore. Straight away, they could identify the part. If the part didn't have a price, now they'd be sending in a part number to say, hey, I need a price for this. So we built out our entire product line. Initially, as I said, we were only doing parts and documentation, but we ended up bringing everything. Our entire product line we brought in, all our systems, all our accessories, and we built them out in different catalogs. All orders were now placed in Documoto. Before we had Salesforce. You would look up the spare parts price in the book. You would go to Salesforce, re-look it up again. That would then send another email to our SAP system and they would have to enter it manually. So we stopped Salesforce. We cut that out. And now now orders all placed just sends the PDF to our order entry, and they did it the same way they did before Salesforce, but you removed that. The distributor didn't have to log into 3 or 2 different systems to place an order. It's just one system now. So down the line, we hope to do more integration. And there's an example of our product line, and I'll go through a demo in a larger, but we made them in tiles. You could go through, you could look at your decoder, and I'll do a demo on that. So with respect to we say everything was visualized now and you guys have experienced it, you know, looking at a book, you can look at a part and you can click on that. We've been, you know, due diligent, all of our parts have an image. Every time we update something, I bought a little photo booth. We'll go out and I'll get my tech writer, he'll take a part of everything, a picture of everything, and you'll send it to Paul, and then we'll upload those. It makes a big difference for our manufacturing as well, because they're picking stuff from bins. Now they can also go look at the bombs and they can pick the right part. Obviously the search functionality before, it was just names of documents. Now you could search within documents for anything that you needed. And one big advantage of this, if we obsoleted a document or we obsoleted a part, we could find that in a work instruction now, because it was in the PDF. Before, we never knew where that was used. So if we obsoleted a document or obsoleted a part, now we could search what documents do we need to update to remove that part, because people would still be using those work instructions. We have hundreds of them, so you would have to find out where they were and updated them. And then we used user groups. It was really easy. We set up access for just different user groups on who can see what. We have a structured layout, so when a user comes in, they can see exactly what categories they can see. We have from a Capstone employee to to a distributor, to technicians, to end user technicians, to end users that just want to get technical information and get part numbers for their parts. So we have multiple different types of users. All of our users have their own unique email address, so we manage them individually. Scheduled maintenance books, and I'll do a demo on this a little later. So I said previously, this is an example of our C65 microturbine, where this is a 48K hour service. So I say previously they had to come in and I don't know how they would generate the parts list, because they'd have to manually go off and do something. So what we do is we build it out in Documoto. So it's laid out like this, and then we set print settings that at the moment they have to print that where they can get the action, clean, replace, inspect, and so on, and the time that we will pay in order to repair that part. So now you don't need an expert to actually order parts. The procurement manager can come in, they can print that page, and they can add all the parts that are required for a set interval. So a lot of service contracts we have, whether it's warranty or not, they can order ahead of time, but all they do is print the page, they can hand it to procurement now, and they know exactly what they need to order. We did build our books in 5-year intervals, because that's sort of our service contracts go up to 20 years. So it gives us every 4K interval, we built a book. So it took a lot to build out, but it stopped any questions we ever had about what do I need to order for my service interval. We never get any questions anymore. The downside is our procurement and warranty department get orders a lot quicker now, because they're not delayed. So some of the improvements I've talked about in the group, and Documoto knows as well, and I'd like to add it in here. We'd like the print settings to be added into here. We want to be able to customize our books to add action and flat rate schedule in that particular book without it going into other books. Because we find a lot of people don't print on our users, do not print the material. They just go in, look, add to cart, and order. But it's not always the service technician that's going in here. It's the procurement manager that's going to order the part. And I'll demo that a little later. So we also integrated our entire marketing department. Before we had different share files, different sites where people could get information. So we integrated all of our marketing information. So this allowed the marketing team from our distribution to quickly access our logos, our presentations, our renderings, anything they needed instantly, they could now download. Some of you that don't know, Documoto now supports PowerPoint, Excel, and Word. Before we were loading the PDF up of the presentation and attaching it, but now the PowerPoint can be media. So we got rid of that. And those can all be viewed prior to downloading. All of our case studies, our video case studies, these are all in, and they can also be tagged to our product lines as well. So that it's all searchable or filterable, everything's characterized or categorized. This allowed existing tools that we had today to be all put in one place. And we used a lot of microsites in here, and I will demo that shortly, where we had support forms for trade shows. What equipment do you need? What stuff do you need to borrow from us? What are you requiring? So marketing can get a lot of information from our distribution, what they needed for trade shows. We also built out just like a parts book, but this is our marketing catalog, where you can go, well, these are all the hot points. You can go and add them to the cart, and you can now place an order for the material you need for your trade show or for your end users. Before that was an Excel spreadsheet that was emailed out. So we integrated that into here for our giveaways. So for the rest of the presentation, I'm going to talk about microsites. So our microsites are dedicated lightweight websites designed to focus on specific topic or function. So I think initially, if my understanding was correct in my memory, this feature was launched, and we only saw it when it was launched. It was launched because one user or a number of users wanted to develop HTML parts books, and this allowed them to do that. That was my understanding of why it was initially launched. Did not know that, and we took it in a completely different direction. So the value to Capstone. It allows us, for the tools that we have today and the tools we're using, to embed them. No additional cost. So the philosophy I've gone on with this, with microsites, what can I cut that we're using today and bring it in here? What are we already using today and bring it to here? My aim is to not spend any more, but just cut. Not through our history, and myself, Renee, and Paul, we've been in Capstone 20 years plus. I don't want to see another tool developed. I don't want to see another platform raised. So I just wanted us to cut back on what we were using. The two key advantages I think about microsites: the URL is hidden, eventually. And I'll explain a little further down the way. And then you can use user groups to set who can see the microsites. So that allows a lot of flexibility. So the tools that we've used of Canva, Microsoft Forms, Outlook calendars, Excel, Replit, which allows us to develop custom applications, and then just two of the LLMs we've been using is Claude and OpenAI, and I'll step through each of those and how we use them. Because we have an LMS, and I'm also responsible for all of training, and we develop the training content. Once a user on the product side or a user on the technical side has finished a course, the course closes, you don't have access to the material. So we add all the material. So these are what we built out in Canva. Our marketing team was already using Canva. I said, just give me a template. Brand it, give me a template. They gave us a template, and then we developed that. So we can do, once again, document library training. So we brand Documoto as document library. We do all tutorials on how you log in, how you search, because there's different ways of searching and how you do things. So we're trying to keep up with the videos. There's a lot of things that change in, but how do you search for our work instructions? How do you do the parts catalogs? So we also enroll people. We're talking about adoption. We require technicians are forced to do all these courses. So when on the LMS, we have all these as courses, so they have to go through it, not saying, please watch it. They have to do it. And then we do recertifications every year where they have to go and do all the new material. We do service bulletins, service notice. They are forced to do it. Otherwise, they lose access to the library. They can't do warranty claims, and they can't do anything. So that's how we've got adoption, is I found you have to force people to watch material, and then they go, oh, that was good, correct? But it's just getting them in there to do that. So what I try to do is just lay out some steps for people that never did microsites. So I'm not an HTML coder, so I had to Google all the stuff, how to do HTML. So, I think when microsites first came up, I said, what do you put in the zip file? What do you do? How do you create this, correct? So what we did is we built out on the training side, on Canva, you literally can go and say, share, and you can copy the embedded code. I went and copied that into a text file. You have to do some coding around it to say your screen size, how you want it to do. You then close that file, change the extension to HTML. You can open it in a browser, and it shows you what it looks like. And then you then send that to a zip file, and you upload it to a microsite. So it's that simple in creating a microsite. The limitations on Canva does not allow you to embed direct URLs, and it always wants to resize things. So that is one of the limitations of Canva, but it works really well for us because we can put our content out there. Because what I didn't want to do is just add videos in as you see them, because and you got 15 videos. So you could display what you do. You could jump to a second page. You could talk about it. All I'm doing is embedding the URL in here from Documoto. But once you're logged in and you click on it, it'll open the video. We don't tag the video. We just load the video, copy the media ID, and copy the URL. The video lives nowhere. It's not, you can't go to a page. You can only access it from the microsite. So it's more structured. On forms, you could use any forms. We're in the Microsoft 360 system, so we tend to be able to create teams, create forms. All the results can go to defined teams, so everyone can review the results. So we use them for trade show events. What trade shows does distribution want us to attend? What are they going to contribute? What are we going to do? Case studies. Have our end users got new case studies they want to show their installations? Marketing support requests. What do you need from marketing? Customer service surveys and product feedback, voice of the customer. We can now develop those really easy, put them in a form, make a microsite, put it out there, do an announcement, and give a limited time for people to do it, and then the survey turns off. So the steps on that are pretty simple. You've got to share with everyone, copy your URL, put that into a iframe, and then create a microsite. So we find that very useful. I think previously we used, I don't know what survey companies, they were hard to build. There were another platform we're paying for. Just came back to stuff that we have today, and that's free. Calendars, at the moment we use it for two reasons. So for all of our training structure, so we do about 16 training sessions at our facilities per year. So it allows people to see when the next training session is on the next product. So I basically have a calendar in Outlook, and I build out the structure. Then I create another calendar URL, which is built into my Outlook. I just drag and drop the calendars and it automatically updates in here. So all you're doing is getting the ICS calendar link, make sure everyone can access it, and embedding it in a microsite. You can also go directly and open them so you can fill out all information. Our marketing uses it for events, like we're having a trade show, and then everything you need to know, you just click on that, it opens. So that we found it's very useful because I can update it in minutes. So when I first did this, I thought this was pretty cool. I guess we battled it for a long time, but the next slide sort of overtaken it. So we had a lot of tools. We had our performance calculator, we had sizing calculators, but you don't want to give that calculator to someone because you're giving how your calculations are done in the background. So through Microsoft OneDrive Business and Personal, there's a couple of limitations, but you can load your tools onto your OneDrive for Business. So then you go through the browser and you go to share to anyone, and then you copy that link and make it non-downloadable. Then I go embed that in an iframe. But some of the stuff I had to learn, but now you can ask any LLM and it'll give you it straight away. I needed to, you create a dashboard. What do you want them to see? You don't want them to see tabs. Can they select drop down? So you can select in the HTML coding what you want them to do. So we were able to embed a lot of our tools, a lot of KPI dashboards, and people could update them live and they changed instantly. So that was when we first did that met a big need. We did our schedule maintenance calculators through that, but we didn't want people to have our back-end pricing, our calculation. Through this way, they can't access it. Once again, they can't download the form. They can only see the dashboard that you define. So you might have use cases for that, but we've stopped using that now, and we've moved on to the next thing. So through vibe coding, I've been doing this about 1.5 years now. So now we've developed apps. You saw before, and I'll demo it. We had an Excel performance calculator. It's now a full app. Now it prints out PDFs and everything. We embed that in a microsite. Production had a need where they were using Excel spreadsheets to make our labels, and a lot of the information that went out was wrong. I put that into an app. Now it creates job history, produces the TIFF file for them, downloads them onto their computer, gives full job history. But I solved a lot of production issues that were giving us a lot of problems. But once again, it's in a microsite. Only certain people can access this calculator, or all of distribution for that. Here we actually log metrics in the background. You'll see a little thing says admin. So you click on that and put an admin. Now we can see who's looking at what product or people. So within those apps, we embedded our own metrics. And all these apps were configured mobile ready. So if you do open them on Documoto, they all resize. And when you're doing them, you can use them on a phone. The last one, which I've done in the last couple of weeks, and this is more of an example. So before, we were giving KPIs to our distribution on their performance, and it was an Excel spreadsheet. And I would get given it by leadership and say, post this. And I go, this is ugly, but I don't have time. So I just PDF'd it and put it up, correct? Then I started thinking, okay, I need to build a dashboard for this. I did this in 3 hours. 2 of them were at my son's swimming. But so I originally built it through a ChatGPT code. I said, hey, I want a dashboard that looks like this. And then I want to copy the HTML code. The problem with the HTML code is if you build a dashboard in the HTML code, you can't put a password into it. So then I put this into Replit, and then I was able to take all the quarters, all the years, average them together. So now, and then I built another password for that because it's kept in the secrets of that platform, that my boss can now go log on. They can download the template. She can add the metrics and upload it herself. So I sort of automated that you could step away now on doing that. But it gives a lot more metrics, and I'll go through those. So once again, this is just a URL embedded in an iframe. loaded, and you set permissions on who can see it. So with that, I'm not getting that bottom bar now to exit this. They said if I push escape, it stops the screen recording. How do I exit without pushing escape? I'm not a Mac person, so. Oh, there it is. Okay. Say end show. Okay, there we go. Perfect. So now I'm going to cover sort of a use case. For those that have never used news notifications, this is what sort of comes up when you first log in. This is a test user. You won't get all of them. It could be more. But you know, if you don't read them, it comes up every single time, and you can run reports on important service bulletins. And we use that for important service bulletins. Says, you know, this failed. We told you had to do this. You've never looked at it. So we do use those reports. So this is our structure. And I'll go through our structure afterwards, but I wanted to particularly go through. So we got our product lines here. We use the same tile structure throughout our legacy systems. I'll go through our notifications, our forms, training and support, marketing resources, and manufacturing is something new that I've added in. This is our browse flow, so not all of distribution can see that. We have 2 browse flows. But I wanted to cover the items that I talked about. So training calendar, let's talk about that first. That will bring up the calendar. Within that, you can see when our next training courses are, and you can double click on, I'm not sure why it's not showing me in the image now, but you can add everything about the training agenda. You can add just what people need to know. They get an email as well, but if anyone wants to sign up, it's embedded in here. And this is, we normally load the calendar for a year starting in January. Then we've got, I'll give another one. We've done microsites. We had a lot of problems with new distributors and new employees. So we built a onboarding microsite where we now talk about, you know, welcome new business partners, because having to meet with them, one of the key things about a microsite is if you have multiple microsites, every time you click on a link, it will open a new page. So here we discuss all our sales and marketing information, our customer service. So it's going to open a link each time. In the future, maybe that's something that we can figure out how it doesn't do that, but that's one of the things. Customer service and resources. So here's how we guide them. So even our sales guys ask, how to sign up for training? I send them this URL. One of the key things my group and I instill, we never send documentation. If someone asks us a question, we send the URL. We never send documentation. And they come back, I can't log in. Okay, well, we'll fix that, but we don't send documents. Because if you keep on doing it for our sales guys, they will never learn. Then we go to our training courses. So we've got all our training courses, our applications, our recertification refreshers. So every course that we load on here, we rebuild. So here's the document library. We originally built this out in Spanish as well, so you can go through how logging on, how our documentation is structured, how to use the scheduled maintenance books, how to find work instructions, part catalogs, and so on. I did a Spanish section because we do everything in subtitles. I did it once, I didn't do it again because we're a smaller group and it was hard to maintain, even though a lot of here you can see, you can zoom in out. This is one thing that Canva does. It doesn't fill the page. They have a restriction on that, but it's very easy to use, and I can build a page in less than a day and get it out for the required. I'll probably look at more AI and helping me build more structured HTML pages, but it's just not something we do day to day. And so we have our product training. We load all our webinars. So every single webinar we do, we load in here because we really get about a 30 to 40% participation. So you have to load that up. On the product side, I sort of use the same. You get an overview of videos of how our products work. And then where we have a structured course in the LMS, we lay it out. So that's really all our training stuff. Here's the performance calculator, which we talked about previously. Originally, this was in Excel. You have to pick your partner because we do metrics behind that. I'm just going to put I'm going to run a case. Renee will going to shout at me, but this is going to go in his metrics. But you can put your project name in. So we select the product. So these are all apps we build now that are embedded. You can select metric, imperial. You can select your product line. You can select your altitude, and you run your calculation. You can add your accessories. So this is all built within. So now this gives us our power output. We can go and look at our fuel characteristics for our turbine. What blends do I want? I want to run a landfill gas. That's a specific blend. You recalculate. So it gives you your volume on your gas turbine. We then look at our performance charts. It will generate the performance charts for the gas turbine. And one of the features now, you can now export the output and say what you want. And it'll give you a PDF document that people can use for project sizing. So this has allowed us, once again, it's a secure platform. We're able to, like, where would we house our app? Where would we put it, correct? We want one platform for everyone to come in on. All the sales guys. So we have a lot of active users in here. On the production side, I'll just quickly show that app, and then I'll show you the dashboard. One of the things I did was I was also through vibe coding able to connect to our LMS, because a lot of times people say, hey, is this person certified? What's the status of this person? I have to go and run a report or look them up. So I got really tired of having to do all that work. So now you can see all our authorized. We have about 224 technicians worldwide. You can go in and type their name. This updates every night. And you can see, how do I scroll? Maybe no Dave. If you refresh it, it'll start again. It doesn't save any data. We do David. So here I can see now all the technicians. It tells me what product lines they trained on, how many days they got left for certification. So it just breaks it out really easy. So now I don't have to, the service managers, hey, go and look. I don't have to provide any information anymore. So I'm just looking at all the tools, how it makes me more efficient, how I can bring things together. Through vibe coding, it was easily able to build the API. I know nothing about APIs. So that was an advantage. And then the third one that we developed, let me go out and then I'll talk more about our structure and our schedule maintenance books, is manufacturing. And this is where we made the nameplate generator for all our products and all our accessories. So our technicians can only type in catalog numbers that exist. There is a way to do custom. So these are tool tips I did in here was you could pull up instructions and bring stuff down. If I typed in a catalog number, you selected it. You got to enter a serial number. You got to enter a sales order number so we can log all this data. And there's restrictions and an operator name. And now you can preview what the label looks like. It prints it out. You can even look what it's going to look like on a laser. And then you export it on a TIFF, and it keeps it in job history too. So you can do it on one computer and go and print it at the laser printer. So these are sort of ways that we're trying to bring manufacturing into the system. Also all the tools we use, defining, this is for distribution and for, it's all the tools we do. We supply all the tools to distribution. We provide them as drawings. So we've modeled all of them. So distribution can either buy the drawings from us, because the biggest complaint was, hey, I got to buy your $20,000 tool. Once I have customs, once I have shipping and everything, it's really expensive. So we allow our distribution to buy our tooling by providing them the drawings. So I've covered the apps. I've covered the forms. Or let's actually have a look at the marketing resources. If you went into, that's what the marketing catalog looks like. I'm set up, you can't see pricing, but if you click on any of these now, it brings it up and you just add them into the cart. You can also print the book. So now you have a marketing catalog book that you can do. So everything's exportable. As you know, in Documoto, you can't export pricing even if it was there. And then what a support form looks like. This would be if you wanted to submit a case study. So everything's integrated, and then you just start the process and submit it, and our marketing team gets it in their Teams folder. So we've been very structured in how we do things. If I looked at particularly, we try to load as many parts as we have, but throughout our documents, we're very structured in our icons. So what we found when we first developed this is we didn't always want people to read stuff. You can now see it's a work instruction. You can see it's a notification. So we have defined icons we use for everything. Then that goes throughout our documentation. So if you look, obviously this is the way to search. If you go and look for case studies, it's going to bring up defined icons. If you go and look for, and obviously this is we teach distribution. This is another way to filter on things, because you can really step down to what you want to get. All of our drawings, correct? So there's for our C1000, these are all our DWG drawings. So we provide them a PDF and DWG so they can integrate them into the designs. So just looking at the structure, on our 65, everything is structured the same per product line. We have our product catalogs, our parts catalogs, our service, our accessory documentation data sheets, which is also in marketing, all of our manuals. So it's very simple. We have technical references, application guides, installation guides, product specs, and user manuals, and we use the same icons throughout. Drawings and schematics, is we have the electrical schematics, our ONIs, pin IDs, all our exploded view diagrams, which we did before Documoto. We exploded out the systems. And then our AutoCAD drawings, and we provide step files for all our products for our distribution. So, what this has done is, with our ecosystem, we don't say, hey, I need a step file. Hey, I need this. Hey, I need that. I don't get those questions anymore. If we get questions that's not in here, we put it in here. So we don't have to support that. Let me go back in, sorry. So this is how we lay out our parts catalogs. Once again, you can print as an entire book. We give our decoder up front. So people can, we use illustrations. It's not always parts, correct? We use them for a lot of different things. That will print in the part book. That will give you a page number. Very structured. We have a cover on it. So it looks very professional when someone prints the parts book. If you look on our systems now, we just break them down by catalog numbers. We add all the images. We provide all the information that's needed. And once again, they just add that to the part. We do use order suggestions a lot. We use it manually because the automated one brings back too much information. But I know that if you're going to change this engine, you should consider this part. So we do use that a lot. It is manual. Then we add in all accessories. So we just built out high resolution pages like this. You can click on anything. The descriptions are in there. So it gives our entire product lines on what we've got. So it functions very much like the parts catalogs. But distribution can come in at once and order systems, parts, accessories, whatever they want at one go. And generally for oil and gas, we have a lot of systems and then spare parts blocks that are ordered at the same time. So everything is here, from our witness tests to shipping to crating, and everything in between. The parts catalogs, we just really lay them out. So we don't really have a serial number. We have catalog numbers. We build a standard product. Yes, if it's customized, we will update that as a fee and give you drawings. We can build custom books, which we charge for a build book. But effectively, we've got all of our kits built out in here. We have service kits, retrofit kits, conversion kits. So distribution can come look at them, and we provide an image of everything that's on there, from our injectors to everything they need. These are generally service items, and breaking them down into consumables. Retrofit kits, it's obsolescence and just different items. Then we have our accessories. We break our entire product down into tiles. And that's how we do it. So you might have all of our products, our parts or assemblies have part numbers on them. So we break our engines down by fuel, and that's sort of how we do. You have a natural gas engine. And then this is just how we lay it out and the color scheme going throughout. And that's sort of how we do our exploded views. A lot of these we've done ourselves because they just weren't done by engineering. So that's why we have the advantage to do what we want to do. All right, let me show the schematic side too. We also add all our schematics into here. And if I look at our high pressure gas system, our electrical schematics, we animate all of them. And then within those, we will provide you the pinouts. So we provide the pinouts for distribution on all our cables as well. So any technician can go in and look what the cable is, what they need to order, and what the pinout is and what it goes to. Then we obviously have our troubleshooting guides. It's separate to that. We're starting to do a lot more troubleshooting videos, and we're embedding them in here. On the electronics side, we also explode out our modules because we're inverter based. So let me look at this is an example. So if we're building something new, it goes in here. If it's older stuff, goes in there. So that's sort of how we do it. So you always know what's current production. But you just type in the part number on your module, correct, when you're in the field, and it will bring up the full BOM of this particular. So this is a larger one, 18 pages. We're starting to add a lot more information, and all of these have images. We're starting to add more models in now, where it's a lot more visual than the line art. So here's an example I'll come to of cables. Here you can see exactly what the cable is and what you need and where it goes. So we're starting to add a lot more of the generated models. And then the last page is we're starting to also draw out some of the schematics, how everything connects and what's the cable part number for that. So coming back to the C65, then I talk about service. I want to go to the scheduled maintenance books. And this is what I demoed earlier. So these are all our fuel types and accessories. And it took us a while to do, but the end result made it so much better. So if I take a high pressure natural gas system, and these are different configurations, grid connect means you just generate to the grid dual mode. You can be island and do both. And then you get 4 books and a reference. The reference tells us, got to disable that. Which one? The reference tells us, gives every single part that is going to be a service interval. If I print this page, it'll tell me it's a 5,000 hour interval, it's a 10,000 hour interval. That's just useful to see. This is every single part that is serviceable on the system. Then you went into the scheduled maintenance books. We do them. You can print each of these books, so you can print the entire 5-year if you want. I'm going to take an example that I used earlier, a 48K hour service. So on 48,000 hours, you now get, this is everything that needs to be changed, correct? The thing I was requesting is that we could add the tags here to see we had to print this page to see what is replace, what is inspect, clean, or replace. And then we have a lot of notes on the page itself. So there's 2 pages for this. It breaks out just different items. But all these books can be printed. But we never have any questions now as what needs to be replaced. It's defined, and the flat rate schedule is defined for every single part. And one of the advantages was I can now see where am I missing a work instruction. Before I had no idea do I have a work instruction for that? So if I clicked into, let's just say, the electronics filter, here now we associate all of our work instructions, all of our service notice. So if we give a service notice, it's attached to the part that you need to know about. So this is where it's important people come in and select. We've also, because we have everything in here, we started creating groups. Is it a part? Is it accessory? Is it a system? Because sometimes people don't know that accessory was not a part. So we had to start adding, and that's something recently that we've done because of our ordering system. So let me go back into the 65. So we talked about data sheets. We add all our certifications. This was pretty big. Like, what are you guys certified to? So UL, CE, all the grid interconnect certifications we need around the world. We just add our certs in there now because they keep on asking, hey, can I have the cert? Go to the library. And then also our ISO certs, all our factory witness tests, all the documentation, what we will do, how you will test. And obviously we have pricing for that. OEM is just one particular partner that buys different product. On the service side, now the work instructions, you have 3 ways to search for work instructions. You can use the search bar, you can use the filters, or you can now navigate and you just go through what module is that work instruction in. And we provided tutorials on how people would do that. And troubleshooting is something that I've got to build another microsite for. I'm starting to develop tutorials, how to measure IGBTs, how to do this, how to do that. So now I want to build out a microsite so it's more visual. So every time we do recertification, we tell them how to troubleshoot better, how to do new things. Everything gets added into here. So if it was a troubleshooting technique, a video on a battery for recertification, it gets tagged to the battery. So as we do more, and the advantage of us doing recertification ensures we always have new material coming up when someone has to recertify. So it's forever growing of what we put in here. And everything is tagged almost similarly in the same way. Probably a little mismatched. This was me, but these were videos where these were documents. So that's sort of an overview of everything. We've integrated all our products, all our product documentation. It's sort of, this is the ecosystem. So we only have one platform for distribution. They don't have to go to another platform for sales now. They don't have to go to another platform for marketing. We continue to expand on microsites. I think we think of something new every week. Oh, we could do that, you know. So I provided guidelines in here. If you ever wanted to do microsites, it's just those steps. Originally, you know, I had to Google and figure out how to do HTML. Now you just asked ChatGPT the question and give you the structure straight away. Or how do I make this one better? Just cut and paste it. It gives it to you straight away. Or how do I center this? How do I make it fit better on a screen? It does it for you in 2 seconds. And then you just cut and paste that into a text file, change the extension to HTML, load it, zip it, load it up, and there's your microsite. So what Brian was doing, correct? So I liked the fact that he did the service bulletins, what was important. And then you had a need to build that microsite for that product that you laid out like a nice marketing page, because there was a need that you had that you knew trying to ask someone else to do, but you put the important information on the new people always ask or needed to know. So that's why you can target it, and now you can set it for specific user groups on how you set up your organization. I think I've covered everything. Oh, notifications. So how we do this, we insert our service bulletins, service notices, application updates, product updates, announcements. So every time we sent out an important letter to distribution, it gets added to here because they always say, I never got it, right? And then we did the key performance indicators, and I'll show you, this is what the spreadsheet looked like before. Oh, that's one thing I didn't show you. This is what it looked like before. I just KPI, loaded it up. So I'm hoping this user has KPI. It's probably taken over. I wonder, because I'm in as a test user, I wonder if I can see that dashboard. KPI. Let's just go. No, unfortunately the user doesn't have that access. I'm using a test user. I could swear they did. It's content preview, but I showed you the dashboard earlier. It's very interactive. You can go and look on their metrics, click down to a distributor, and it just goes through. I mean, if any questions afterwards, I can show you that. But I think I've covered everything on how we've done that. As I say, the reason we asked a lot of questions in the beginning is we wanted to do it once. We did have to reorganize our organizations a little later. Once we introduced pricing, and we have pricing for different regions. So we could have, for a company, we have 3 organizations. One where they don't see pricing, one where they can see they can see pricing and submit quotes, and then the other organization where they can submit quotes and see pricing. So that's why we have to have 3 organizations per distribution. And then they might have, and then we link another one under them, end user. It's their end user that's getting in. That's sort of how we structure it. Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Did I hear you? Oh, sorry. Did I hear you correctly? You said you animated your electrical schematics.
When I say animated, what we did was I maybe animated. Here's the one.
Okay.
Maybe animated, not the correct word, but we drew out a lot of high power schematics. You know, one of the complaints was, where are my fuses in the system? And then we use this as a lot of our training material. And then I developed a video on our power flow. So here we took our whole power diagram and for distribution and labeled all our fuses and contactors where they were in the system. If you went to more info, there's a video on there that steps you through the power flow. When the system switches on, where does it go to? What is the fuse used for? Where is it located? So maybe animation was the wrong word, but we're putting a lot of schematics in now to try and show people where to find things. And then we do a tutorial, which is part of the recertification on how that works. So it explains the system.
Okay. I heard that because in our electrical schematics, we've wanted to animate them, and currently we just break them down by each circuit, and then we highlight and we have arrows of where the electricity flows, and then we have a button so you can switch to the next one. But you said animated, and that's the one thing we have not been able to do
I
yet.
suppose the video actually steps through that entire diagram and goes through the flow, tells you what that does, and then shows you a picture of where it's located. So we did a full tutorial on our high power flow and sort of how the system is energized, how it starts up. So it's informational, but also for techs, they know why it's used. And that's now in the a troubleshooting video. So the more we add, the more information we do. So I have one content creator. We develop mainly in Camtasia, screen recording, and then animate through that. Things are getting better now. We used Audio 8. We also do we add closed captions on everything. So, we have distribution all over the world. So generally the comment is, as long as there's English subtitles, I can do it, correct? But they battle with their accent, sometime on the American accent. So we add subtitles on all of our tutorials.
What tool did you use to create all your thumbnail images?
Paul, hey? Photoshop.
Photoshop?
So we bought the full suite of Adobe Cloud, because all those images Renee did, because we have hundreds of pages in the books. So it was a painful process initially, but we found, what to use, Illustrator? Illustrator, you can turn on and off layers. So you can do one illustration and then you quickly turn it on and off PDF it, turn it on or PDF it. So it speed up the process literally by weeks. Yeah. I mean, we're looking forward, like we're thinking the dynamic catalog now. Can I get rid of all those pages? Can I have just select fuel and it now reorganizes things for me?
Just to add to that, we're always thinking about the next step, and right now we have these books that now I can create all these pages in Illustrator, use layers to turn things on and off. But now we're like, okay, how can we improve this? Now that we've got some experience with AI, we're like, okay, maybe we can build this out in Replit and actually customize it for every user, so now every user can have their own scheduled maintenance for their product. So it builds it out for every site, and then we just have like a key for each user. So we take this, we basically use what we've built as a template and make it customizable for every customer, put it in an app, and then instead of having 10 different subtiles, you can just go into one place and see your whole fleet. And so that's kind of where, we're always trying to evolve it and improve it. And that's where we're using AI and microsites to take it to the next level.
Any other questions? No?
Yeah, I'll talk to them.
Okay. All right. Well then, yeah, thank you again. Oh, you have one more?
Now, for the moment, your microsite is only in English. Maybe in few days or a few years, you will have to translate it. If you sell Capstone product outside the United States.
We only tend to translate our user manuals.
Okay.
Most of our distributors that interact with us speak English. We do offer training in different languages, French, because we have a large French base. And then Spanish, so we do that. But I don't have a lot. You guys have a lot of users. I mean, you dwarf us compared to your content. We have a smaller team to do all of that in different languages. But some of the apps that we did build out, everything's in HTML. So what I figured out was you just open Google Translate, and it literally translates my entire app for me. You can do any language. So it translates all my fault codes to any language that you want. So that was one of the advantages, is if you build in HTML, you can use Google Translate to translate your whole page into any language. So you don't have to have translation anymore. And I stumbled across that. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Thank you.